I do recall the plot.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Zombies to Zoinks, where we talk about everything from mech warriors who lead the way to Welangate Kamiye. I'm your host today, Stephan.
I'm Daniel.
And I'm Trask.
Let's talk nerdy.
What are we talking about today? Hello, how are we all doing?
We're doing great, and we're talking about James Cameron's Avatar. So you guys told me Avatar came out today on Netflix, and yesterday on Netflix. Sorry, and I got confused, and I went, "Oh, great, Avatar!" And well, it wasn't there, you guys. You lied to me.
Listen, Netflix is a place where you can find good quality content.
Well, and now that good quality
that's
content
all I'm saying
is going to be on our podcast. So.
Fantastic. Yeah, well, we always have good
Quit
quality.
sipping on your haterade, Daniel.
Yeah, I'm not.
Let's have some fun
listen,
today.
No. I'm not. Listen. I didn't say anything. I just said you can find good quality content on Netflix. That's a fact. Right?
No.
Isn't Sharknado on Netflix?
I don't know. I didn't say all the content was good quality content. I said
Tiger King is on.
That's good. That's great. It's
I can't say anything about it. So.
No, I'm saying you can find good quality content on Netflix.
All right.
That's all I said.
I get the semantics. I get it. Well, okay. Well, listen. Here, I personally think Avatar is hated, not really hated, but at least like generally disliked because of its popularity. Not to say that people love it or that it's insanely popular, but just the fact that it's made so much money and is in such a public light for being a film that is a rather average, you know.
You admitted it's average.
Yeah, no. Here's the thing. Here's my stance on it. I'm not a huge fan of the film. In fact, I'd rank the film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'd rank the film as like a low C to me. Like I've only seen it like 4 or 5 times, you know, and I played the game when it came out on the PS3, and then that was it.
Oh, there was a game. Interesting.
There was a PS3 game, and it wasn't actually half bad. It had a really fun online capability to it, but you know, and then it all just kind of faded away. What made me want to cover this so much today and what kind of brings it back to the forefront of my mind is because of Pandora and Animal Kingdom.
We had a technical,
Okay.
We had a technical glitch, Stephan.
It's okay. I'm still recording.
We cannot hear you.
Everyone else will be able to hear me. It's all right.
I think he's coming
popped in for a second.
You know what?
There we go.
Oh,
am I back?
Hi,
Stephan.
Hello.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Everyone on the live stream.
You're still kind of choppy, chopping the water.
Yikes-a-roos. Let me Here, I'm gonna cut back.
You're turning into Wally.
Here, hold on. I don't know if it's an internet thing or if it's just Discord.
Wally.
Well, if we're still live, Daniel, why don't you go ahead and talk about your perspective on
Sure,
the film?
yeah. So I will wait for Stephan to come back. My takes with it is I'm just kind of being a jerk. Like, I'm just teasing. It's not a terrible movie or anything like that. And there was a lot of heart that went into the production. Because James Cameron, I believe, and Stephan will probably back this up, wanted to, like, he was trying to get it off the ground for a long time. And a lot of what they were saying is like, oh, the technology wasn't there. And I'm not sure entirely. I think it could have been made. Because when it comes to all of the CGI and everything in it, it was made, but I don't believe it was the most groundbreaking visual effects.
Can you hear me?
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
I would
back.
like to jump on that real quick because that's an interesting point.
Oh, yeah, sure.
To bring up. He originally wanted to make the movie in 1999.
Yes.
And the budget was about $400 million, and no studio would sign off on it because of its budget alone. They were too afraid of the concept and that it was going to drop too much.
Especially that concept with that budget as well. And it wasn't a surefire thing for studios.
It's not like going, hey, I'm going to make another Star Wars for $400. They're like, okay. No, like he literally like shelved that sucker for 8 years before he came back to it. But he had the script done and a lot of things done for a while. But he comes back to it now because technology reaches the point, he says, where he's like, it can be made. And he the reason why you say that it wasn't not being the most groundbreaking thing, I would argue that and say that it was the most groundbreaking thing, which is partially why it was so successful, because he paved the way for all the technology that we see today regarding motion capture studios and working in a volume, being able to see your 3D spaces live. His was the first production studio that actually you could take the camera and look through it and see the pre-rendered 3D environments. So he was filming
and that's what gave us, what we've got today. It's going back to Mandalorian. We were able to see that on screens, in the background. But yeah, no, totally. I believe, weirdly enough, The Polar Express is another movie that did that. It was one of the first movies that did that as well. I don't know how different it was, but like Tom Hanks literally was like had like a motion capture suit. It's really funny. Look at the B-roll for it.
Yeah, playing the kids. It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah. But yes, you were saying.
So there's a lot of stuff that's kind of like that in regards to Avatar, where it created technology, or it created methods for using technology that was never before seen. And people jumped on that stuff. People had to go see it because the last thing that this guy did was Titanic, Yeah. And so it generated massive amounts of money, and then people kind of forgot about it after a year or two.
Yeah, well, I was going to. And part of the reason I think of it as a whole rather than just as a film, like the history with it and everything. I totally agree with the motion capture stuff, and I kind of forgot about that. I was like, oh yeah, they did have the cameras on the actors' faces while they were filming, in the motion capture
the
shit.
mocap with
And I was like,
dots.
that and the fact that they are one of the first to do that or pioneer it and do it really well. Yes, I'll say that. I think though why it was so successful, however, was marketing. I want to see. I like it when a film does really, really well and makes a landmark. For I want to say merit solely. I'm not saying there wasn't merit. I'm just saying that a lot of it was marketing. And when the trailers were first coming out, it was kind of just your normal come experience the epic blah blah blah, here's the story, action, CGI, aliens. But once it started really getting traction, they started marketing it as this is something you cannot miss. And once something is able to do that well, saying, oh, if you don't see this in theaters right now, you're going to miss out. That's when the people come.
Yeah, and that's what got me there.
Yeah, and that's what happened with Star Wars. And personally, I think Star Wars has a better narrative. When we talk about New Hope, I love the history of it because it was apparently a piece of garbage before it was saved in the editing room by George Lucas's wife. That's a different story.
Yeah.
But that was the same sort of thing. Is part of the reason why I believe Star Wars became such a cultural phenomenon was it was fantastic. But if we talk about special effects, which they had to build their own special effects studio in 1976 when they were filming it. I believe because it came out in 77. In order to make it work. But it became an event of you cannot miss this in theaters. If you miss this, you will be left out, which is a very human thing, motivation. If all of your friends are going, if all of your friends are going and talking about it, or even people you don't know. Oh, well, I want to see what the hype is about. I got to see what it is too. And I think that's I'm going to call that Avatar syndrome. And that's where that's where I come from with that. So don't get me wrong. Accurate. I don't hate the film or anything like that. It's just it's that bit of the history that kind of goes along with it.
Sure.
So I want to say that right off the gate. If I make any Avatar jokes or something like that,
fine.
I give a lot of respect to everyone involved in James Cameron and the vision and everything because it was there.
Yeah.
But yes,
I think here's the thing. I feel like we're gonna end up being in the same boat because it's not the reason why I really want to talk about this is not because of the film per se or me being a fan of it, which I'm not really that big of a fan of it.
Or the theme park or all of the sequels.
It's the theme park. I'm not kidding.
Okay.
Like, it is the lore. It's the world building. It's the work of the development team, but not the writing, if that makes sense. So it's not the film itself.
Okay, interesting.
It's the potential for what exists, and also, to give Disney huge props for kind of what they were able to create with what they had. Well, I'll tell you why they were able to make that too. We'll get into all of that for sure.
I'll say though, and I'm curious if you did. I do not think Pandora is not bad, but I do not think it is the best thing at the Walt Disney World Resort. I think it is. I think it. Yeah.
It depends on what you would replace. Because I compare it, and I can only really compare it with Galaxy's Edge. And the reason why I say this is because they're both new lands. I couldn't take Pandora and compare it to Adventureland because they don't exist in the same bracket for me.
What about Wizarding World? You could. I know it's a different company.
Yeah,
but...
you could. Absolutely. Wizarding World trumps it. Easy, beats it.
Okay.
I would say that Wizarding World, only for the fact that it is Harry Potter, and maybe that's just because Harry Potter resonates more with me, and or has a stronger, more dedicated following than Pandora does. But Pandora to me is more impressive in the sense that they took something that was so vague and out of touch with society and made it back into, and they built a Disney culture around it. So Disney fans are also Pandora fans in a weird way.
I will say, because when I go personally, it's the only thing I really enjoy there is actually the food. I love the food in
Satuli Canteen.
The little, is that what it's called?
That's the sit down place.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
The quick service.
It's the one. Yeah, the one they have the, what is it? They have like the pods, and then they have like the protein
pods.
bowls, and the protein bowls are like, I love them so much. Like I've tried to recreate them.
Yeah. They're good.
They've got the little vinaigrette bobas like in it and everything. And it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, we're gonna like hodgepodge a bunch of different good foods together and hope that they all taste together, like good together, and they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I remember the first time I went there. Actually, my friend Jessica that I mentioned, I went with her when it opened. Like this was like at the very, I forgot about this at the very, very beginning. And we went with her brother because she was like gonna do a review for it on her channel, and so I did end up waiting like 2.5 hours in line for the ride, and I did not ride it because I do not like thrill rides. But also I was like with pals and like we were talking and you know looking at everything, so I have seen it and everything. But yeah, I forgot about that, and then it rained. It rained at the end.
Yeah, I think we may.
I did not like the boat ride.
Did you go? Oh, okay. Did you go on opening
day? It's like
day?
2 minutes.
Did you go on? Was it opening?
Maybe it's because I waited for like an hour and a half in the rain.
Listen,
like
yes,
to do it, and then it was like 2 minutes, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, well, and I get that. I totally feel that. I don't even think I did the boat ride the first day that I went. I went opening day, and I did Flight of Passage only, and then. Like a couple of weeks go by and you're kind of able to watch the crowds peter enough to where, you know, the boat ride should only be about 45 to 50 on an off day. But now we're getting to the theme park chat here a bit. But
yeah.
But the idea
I gotta say, I do like the Audrey 2 at the beginning when you walk in.
Yeah.
The like giant like, feed me Seymour.
Oh, I know some secrets about that. Well, you know, you could get that thing to squirt every time by just pressing it, right? Like yeah. There. So here's the thing. I enjoy this opening chat because honestly, our sorting stuff is gonna not go as long, because it's just not as there are a lot of characters for sorting session.
Sigourney Weaver.
You know, we'll kind of roll through it, but truly, I don't think this is gonna be that complex, and I have more trailer chat fun I think to get into. And I think you guys are gonna have a fun time with the facts too, the fact check. So
awesome.
Let's get into the sorting session.
I'm ready.
Let's just jump through this and see where we like to place certain people. Let's talk about Jake Sully here. Probably the most prominent character and the most
our protagonist. Yeah.
Our protagonist, most if not second most complex to sort somewhere. Where would you place him, guys?
Okay, so. My initial reaction, I don't think he's a Gryffindor. I'm gonna say right now, I feel Sigourney Weaver's more of the Gryffindor. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think because we see a really good evolution of his character, and it's a really good. It is a good situation. Someone who can't walk, getting put in this alien body, and then being able to learn about this culture, but that's more of it's not like he didn't make the decision to do that. He's not like, you know what, I want to learn how to walk, so I'm gonna go in this body. Like he like signs up for it, right?
Yeah,
He's like a Marine, right?
He was sought out.
Oh,
So
yeah.
his twin
brother who died.
That's right.
on the mission.
That's right. Yes, I did not watch it again for this podcast. I apologize. So bear with me. Yeah. So I want to say maybe more. I don't know. I'm gonna maybe Ravenclaw.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of like those inherent moments, you know.
Well, Trask, what do you feel?
Yeah.
I can definitely see the Ravenclaw tendencies in it, but if I'm being honest, I would lean more towards the Gryffindor of this. Not that there aren't other Gryffindors in the group, but for him as well, where he kind of has that, put on the spot, and he just runs with it. He says, "Yes, I'm going to do it," and one of those run before you can walk moments the first time he gets in the Avatar and he realized that he can wiggle his toes, something that he hasn't done in God knows how long, and he gets up and he starts running. And even, I forget the name of the other guy, but he even says, "Jake, we're not supposed to run yet," and he has that kind of go get it attitude. He's the one that, helps lead the Na'vi in the fight against, the group.
Yeah, he's Gryffindor. I'm gonna
yeah.
I'll say I have been swayed. So this is probably the top. Like this movie is the one that I don't know, like because it's not like my favorite. I don't know as much about. So I don't think I've invested enough into the thought process of like who these characters are.
No, you're
which
good.
Is terrible
I haven't
terrible
either.
to say. So
No, I have. Here's
So
the
bear
thing,
with-
though. I haven't either. Like, this is an exercise for me. I know
Okay,
a lot
okay.
about the world, but I haven't given much thought to the people in it right now.
okay.
So
we're good.
I watched it last night and finished it.
Trust did his homework.
This morning because I had only seen it once before, back in 2010, 2011. So I wanted to get myself reacquainted because I knew very little about it, and that's maybe the only reason why I know.
You're good.
Oh, I know, man. That's good of you to do.
And strangely enough, I promise you, we're all mostly on the same playing field right now.
Okay, fantastic. And there's watch the one super fan who's like listening, who's like, "Oh my god, these guys are idiots."
Yeah, well, there's a website, not just a website, but an actual dedicated group of people that study Na'vi, the language as much as they study any other fake codified language like Klingon or Elvish, because they're all fully developed. They're fully finished languages. Okay, well, I was thinking of a way to put him in Slytherin to see if I could garner his cunning or ambition in any respect, because he does spend most of the movie, I wouldn't say lying to the Na'vi people, but at least not telling them the truth. In order to kind of like self-service his own, I want to be in this body, but I also fell in love kind of thing,
Yeah, but like, yes, because then it's like, oh, okay, what is he inherently? Because did he lost his ability to walk, right? It wasn't like his whole life.
That is unclear to me.
Okay.
I don't remember. I think it was he lost his ability to walk.
If he lost his
Because he was a
ability to
Marine.
walk,
He used to be a Marine.
yeah,
Yeah, he was a Marine.
Yes.
Okay.
So if he lost his ability to walk, I think then those kind of like, I feel like that's more of like a human tendency. If you lose something and then you get it back,
yeah.
you're gonna want to keep it, and but ultimately, so if he just kept it, or whatever, and didn't help anyone, like, and didn't fall in love and didn't help the community, then he might have been more of a Slytherin. But if he but the fact that he didn't do that,
He was willing to sacrifice and willing to fight.
that's why I think he is a Gryffindor. Like
I think-
Travis was
Yeah,
saying.
I can
I
see
think he does. One of the Slytherin characteristics that I'm seeing is determined, and I think he remains determined the entire time, but his cause changes. So he's determined to do whatever it takes to help. The general. I forget what his name
Colonel
is,
Quaritch.
but he's. Yes, okay, so he's determined to help him and accomplish the mission and study and learn their ways, and eventually he kind of transitions to the side of the Na'vi and he's determined to help them. So he has that quality about him, but his motivation changes.
Yeah.
So that's that could be kind of a determining, factor for if we could sort him in Slytherin.
Okay, I can see. I see.
And
I see what you're pointing-
leadership tendencies
Sure.
on both accounts as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Give me Neytiri then. Let's talk about our female lead here, the wonderful Zoe Saldana.
I would
Neytiri.
say Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuff? Yeah.
Yeah. She is, super genuine, super kind the entire time. She gives him a chance when arguably she probably shouldn't have, and
Yeah.
she gives him more chances than she probably should have. Her loyalty to not only her clan or her tribe, whatever we want to categorize them as well as to the planet and her way of life. She is just the most genuine, I think, probably in the entire movie. So I would put her in Hufflepuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna second that
Yep. All right.
for sure. Solid.
3 out of 3. We did it.
Bam. Dr. Grace Augustine, or AKA Sigourney
Sigourney
Weaver.
Oh, he went away. Come back.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Okay, it sounded like he said doctor.
Doctor, probably
So I'm gonna
Sigourney
go with,
Weaver.
I'm
Good
gonna go
Lord.
with Grace.
This one might need some editing.
Ravenclaw?
Hello.
Gryffindor? One
could-
of those two?
Hello.
I know you were super gung ho about the Gryffindor right out of the
Can
gate.
you hear me?
I'm super gung ho about everything.
Yes, you are. I can definitely see the Ravenclaw tendencies
Man, I don't know.
for that as well. I
Hello?
think that she has that kind of intelligence, and she's a little stubborn at the beginning.
Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
Yeah. Classic,
Maybe not necessarily a character trait, but
Yeah.
so
Hello?
I
Type.
Hello?
Oh, he's
Oh,
back.
good. Okay, I've been back, but
Oh, okay.
Oh.
so that was the first hello you heard.
Yes.
gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. Well, welcome back. We're talking about Sigourney Weaver.
That's
Yeah.
perfect. You read my mind.
Thought I heard you say doctor,
Dr. Grace
like
Augustine.
right before
yeah.
it cut out.
Who
Yes.
could it have been? It could have been
So
Dr.
we were,
Pepper,
There's a lot of doctors though.
Doc Brown. That's it.
So we were kind of making an argument for Ravenclaw for her as well.
I was gonna make an argument for Gryffindor actually, but okay.
Okay. Well, Daniel had mentioned that right out of the
I
gate.
think Gryffindor is that's what I'm vibing with, but I also don't have too much to back up my claim. Other than, I feel like she'd be a Gryffindor. That's about it.
I think just
got red hair.
I think just
That's it.
I think just as like a pure gut instinct, it makes sense just because of her leadership capabilities, but also her courage in the face of like insurmountable odds. Basically, like she's willing to get shot. She's willing to put herself in danger. She's willing to throw herself in front of the people that she trusts and works with, and even for complete strangers and an entire civilization of people. Just on the basis that it's the right thing to do, and that there is inherent value in all life and culture. Like, I think the defense of that is what drives me to Gryffindor, because I don't notice anything about her that's particularly, not to say that she isn't clever, but that cleverness and that unique problem solving, is more her defining trait than say her courage is and her boldness.
Yeah, the way I see it too, when it comes to like houses and stuff, it's like a spectrum. Everyone has these traits. It's just what's more prominent.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
All right. So
I've only got one more left. I mean, there's a lot of other
Okay.
characters in the film, but they don't.
is it the mech suit?
Yeah, it's the mech suit. It's
Okay.
every mech suit. No. There's a lot of other characters,
By classification, we're gonna go through model number and we're gonna say
Yes.
which one is which.
including the new additions they do 100 years later in Pandora. So anyways, yeah, lots of characters, not enough screen time in my opinion to warrant being able to like dive deeply into who they are. But the only other person we really get a lot of time with is, of course, Colonel Miles Quaritch, the villain.
Yeah.
Military man, as we know him.
Scarface.
Slytherin, because
Not that.
he's bad and he wants to take things from people.
And
for his
honestly,
own...
I agree, because that's just about how deep he is.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's
the bad guy.
It's like if he's Slytherin for
Is
all the most
selfish.
generic reasons, He just, you could maybe argue Gryffindor-ish, but it's
I don't know. I
hard.
feel like
It's-
everything is for his own ideals.
Yeah, That's really what it is. It comes down to his person. He has a codified like sense of honor and ideals and loyalty, but yeah, but it's entirely self-motivated, and it has like complete disregard for any life in general. It's
I
business.
mean, there was when the pilot was taken off with the group, he opened the door into Pandora, and everybody inside is just scrambling to put a mask on so that they can breathe, and he's just holding his breath because all he wants to do is shoot at them. He did not care about anybody else's safety. He straight up opened the door to, avenge his own personal,
which
his own personal reasons.
If we talk about moments, I really do appreciate that moment as a part of a character trait, or like, as like a show don't tell kind of aspect. So like, I do think that the movie is peppered with cool moments, and that to me is one of them about Quaritch. So I'm like, oh wow. But also, I'm a little biased because I like Stephen Lang so much as an actor, and I was in love with the short-lived single season of the show Terra Nova, in which he also played a villain turned hero on that show, and I was just like, So I do appreciate Stephen Lang a lot.
Oh wait, I thought of another character. Grandmother Willow.
Oh, Awa, excuse me. Do not blaspheme. Do not blaspheme the name of Awa on this channel.
We'll get to that later.
Well, no, I mean we're talking about Pocahontas, right?
Yeah, no, Dances with Wolves. Get with the program.
What? You're talking about Dances with Wolves. You went away again, Stephan. I was making the joke. I'm going to explain the joke now. I was making the joke that Pocahontas and the movie James Cameron's Avatar have the same plot, which is fine. But that's the joke I was making.
I had nothing to contribute to this entire conversation, and that was going to be my trailer chat bit. Was like going over all the comparisons.
I'm sorry.
No.
I stole it from you. I didn't know.
It's okay.
Can you?
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me, guys?
Am
I there?
Are you back?
Oh, hey, there he is.
There I am. I was gonna say no. I definitely got it.
Oh,
but
there he went.
Maybe.
Oh Lord!
I heard him say something about. I heard him say something about Dances with Wolves.
Hold up. Could you guys try leaving and come back in? Because it says because it says my connection is really good right now.
Well, it says our connection is really good right now.
Listen.
I think we're okay.
Okay, we're good.
We sound good now. We'll try something else later if it happens.
I was saying I do get the comparisons, and I made the Dances with the Wolves joke. But then there's also Ferngully. There's a.
Oh yeah.
For sure, a million and one.
Oh wait.
Bless you.
I don't have Corona.
Let's
I promise.
Go to Shinjitsu.
Thank you.
This one's just this podcast. Okay. So I think we're done. Actually, I think we're done with the story session. Then, yeah.
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 All right. Works for me.
So here's the next fun bit. Then we're gonna move on to our fact check here, which I think you guys are gonna be able to do fine. I didn't do anything crazy. I didn't ask you about weird lore-based things, right? So we're gonna just jump into these, and it's gonna be contextual. It's gonna be. I think you guys are gonna be able to feel it out, which one it might be. All right, here we go.
Is there anything about the photoshopped images in the cafe at Pandora?
No,
Disney World?
There's none of it does.
Because I have a lot of thoughts about those images. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, interesting.
As a photographer, I have a lot of thoughts about those images.
Okay.
I'm not saying I could do better. I just have thoughts about them.
Maybe either in trailer chat or maybe after the stream, because I'm very curious.
Okay.
All right. So here we go. First one on the list, the fact check. Matt Damon and Jake Gyllenhaal were originally the first choices for Jake Sully, but Cameron ultimately turned them down because he wanted a more unknown face for audiences to relate to.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah,
that sounds like a Cameron.
Absolutely believe that.
James Cameron is James Cameron.
All right. Well, let's see how well you guys know James Cameron then.
Okay.
Number 2, James Cameron was tough on the set of Avatar, reportedly taking cell phones that would ring and nailing them above the exit sign with a nail gun.
I don't think that sounds a little too far-fetched. It also, I could see it being like crazy enough to actually happen. I'm putting an indifferent on this one. I don't know. I want to hear the other ones.
Okay.
That sounds the nail gun sounds a little too far for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could sue him for that. That's why.
Well, if you signed if you signed paperwork that said that you weren't going to have it and stuff like that.
Okay, well that's different.
Especially if there's like NDAs about set pieces that are being constructed and whatnot, and not wanting to leak it.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that happening, especially if he just gets so fed up after so long of. Yeah, I could totally see that being a thing. We'll see what the rest of the questions are.
Okay, yeah.
Sam Worthington, in an interview, stated that it was easier for him to master the Na'vi language than it was to master an American accent.
Probably. I could see him, maybe not in actuality, but I could see him like making a joke about that.
Yeah, I could see that being a thing because it's learning a second language is easier than modifying something that you've been saying a certain way your entire life.
Yeah, and that's something an actor would say would say in an interview as well. I could absolutely see like, it was easier to learn Elvish than learn. I don't know, like.
I'm withholding comments because I want to jump in on that, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next one. That's number 4. In the original draft of the script, Jake Sully was supposed to become a villain and commit a deadly act after being swayed by Colonel Quaritch, but would later redeem himself at the very end through sacrifice. Cameron, in an interview, stated that this idea had to be scrapped because he was worried audiences wouldn't be able to relate to the characters if the characters were too complex.
I mean that. Okay. I can't see. I believed it all up until a director saying he didn't think because the rule is you want to make a movie as like you're making it as smart as your dumbest audience member. Like you want to. So he's too. I don't know. Like I feel like he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't say like that last bit is the only thing I was like, nah, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with that is why would you dumb down a character? You're trying to tell your story, but not the story that the audience wants.
Yes, but I could also see I could see a character being simplified through certain actions in order to serve the narrative, like the point of the narrative that he's trying to tell, which I feel like is the greatest thing of that this movie's trying to accomplish. So I'll say that's true. I could see that being real.
Let's hear what the last one is.
All right, here's the last one. The most time spent on this film was in pre-production, with a little over a year of time being spent on the music alone. In addition to having a small team of specialists travel the world in search of unique musical tones and practices that would later be scrapped, over 20 of the world's top creature designers spent very long hours per day designing in thorough detail the evolutionary and functional biology of every
per
creature.
day doing what?
Did you hear? Can you hear me now? Hello?
What were they doing per day?
Am I back?
No.
Am I back? Am I back?
That's funny because he's probably talking still, thinking that he lost us, and we're talking still.
No, but I can hear you the whole time, every time.
Audio files together.
Hello?
When we get the audio files together, then
I can hear you the whole time.
Yeah.
You're still talking about me. Hello.
That's gonna be fun. Hi, I can hear you.
Hi, we can hear you. I can hear you the whole time, you guys.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you kept dropping out on our end.
It's okay. So I was saying,
So,
over 20 of the world's top creature designers spent very long hours per day designing in thorough detail the evolutionary and functional biology of every creature and plant on the surface of Pandora.
I could see that being true as well. I could see that the fact that this production has such a long history. I could see it being like, all right, we're gonna take as much time as we can. I believe that. I believe that one.
So I remember watching the Imagineering documentary on Disney Plus, and one of the episodes talked about the land of Pandora, and it talked about all the research that went into constructing that. And I think they referenced a bit from the production of the film, so I can totally see that being true.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here we go. There all false. No.
Okay. I was like, wow.
I almost did that the other day. Is to give all true facts and have you get. But I was so proud of.
No, I
well,
don't like.
you
It
did
doesn't
good.
serve the integrity of fact check.
No, you did.
Okay,
you did
so-
good on the last one. So the first one, you guys are right. Matt Damon and Jake Gyllenhaal were his first choices for Jake. He wanted audiences to look at a face though and not prescribe anything to it. And at the time, Sam Worthington wasn't massive. So this film kind of helped bump him up into public light more. I can't remember what came first, Clash of the Titans or this. But I know that he was in both around the same time. Now, the second one is... Oh, wait, are you guys finalizing what you guys... Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I don't know. You just jumped into it.
I just jumped into it. I was gonna say, I gave you a freebie.
I'm gonna
on
say
the
the
first
nail.
one.
I'm gonna say the nail gun. I could see that being a thing. What is it? It's Jake Gyllenhaal, nail gun. The last two I think are
Jake
true.
Gyllenhaal, nail gun. Sam Worthington mastering Navi better than English than American. And
Oh yeah, I'm gonna say nail gun, but all of them sound true. So
Okay.
like whatever like I don't really have a. I think for a fact
Yeah.
that this one they all sound
we
the
got
same level.
You got a 1 out
of
of
truth.
4. You got a 1 out of 4 choice now. So
What were number 3 and number 4 again?
the Jake Sully originally being a villain who turned good. And the final one was most of the time was spent on pre-production with all of this incredible world building. That some of it ended up not ever being used.
Okay, so
Those
I think the phone is true.
Okay.
I think the phone and the nail gun is true. So I'm gonna say original plot of Jake being the villain is false.
Yeah,
or does the villainous act?
That sounds-
that's gonna
that-
be my false one.
well, okay. That also sounds like one that Stephan would make up. So I want to say that might be the false one too. But I don't know because I can't see a director getting up, taking a nail gun and nail gunning a cell phone to a wall.
He's paying the people enough to buy a new one.
Still, I still think is a little. I would have I would say I don't care what this movie is. I'm not working on it. Like if someone did that to me, I'm gonna say I'll say nail gun just to go against Trask just for fun. But I do think that one out of all of them, that sounds like the one that Stephan would make up the most is the plot one.
So you're gonna
That's my answer.
settle on the plot?
Yeah, no, I'm settling on the nail gun.
On the nail
just to-
gun.
to-
Oh, okay.
He's contradicting me.
yes.
Oh, got
just
it,
for
got it,
fun.
got
Just so that we have opposing.
Okay.
answers.
Well, it seems then it's between those two. So I'll save those two for last.
Oh,
Well-
so the other ones are true.
Yeah, the other ones are
Okay.
true. You guys were actually debating between the two most curious ones. But so Sam Worthington, yes, in an interview stated that it was easier for him to master Navi than American. Whether or not he was joking or not, I have to find the interview to watch it. But he definitely struggled with American accents.
Yeah.
Where is he
Slipped.
from?
He's Australian or
Australian,
New
okay.
Zealander. I think he's Australian, and he keeps slipping into Australian through some of this.
Now New
movie, too.
Zealand. All
So,
right.
Also, also there was a lot
Close.
of time spent on pre-production. Like the lore is massive, and we'll get into a little bit of it in the trailer chat section. But it's huge what
Okay.
they did, and it's insane the amount of work that went into.
Oh.
Hello, am I still there?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
it's a little
losing
tough.
you again.
Yeah.
Ah! Okay, I'm coming back.
Oh, got all that.
Yes,
Yeah,
good,
fantastic.
good, perfect. Anyways, but yes, we'll get into that in a second. So we're between these two then.
Yes, we're between those two.
Well, as it turns out, James Cameron did nail phones above the
Okay.
exit sign.
I'm assuming
on
I
set.
can't hear you. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I could not hear you at all for that one, but I heard Cameron.
I heard
Above
did,
above-
Cameron and phones.
Yes.
yes.
So
So,
I'm assuming that he did do it.
correct. He did nail.
Okay.
He did nail phones above the exit sign. Now, at least according to IMDb and a couple other sources, that's what was reported as happening on set. Whether or not James Cameron would, say yes or no to that, I don't know.
We are losing you today.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez, guys, I'm serious. Try going out and come back in because you sound perfect to me.
I will.
Okay. Stall for time.
Hey everybody. So I'm
All right,
look.
we're
this was a day.
coming
This was a
around the
podcast.
mountain
I will
once
say.
again.
I love
we're
you all. Thank you so
professionals.
much for listening. But the podcast is
Oh, no,
perhaps
wait,
you're
as
recording.
messy
Yes. So this is for the
and
YouTube
strange
exclusive.
as the world of Avatar.
All
Hello,
right, we are. Hi.
you're back.
Hello.
Welcome back.
We are back. Yes.
Wonderful. Okay.
Wonderful.
So our false one here is you were right, Trask, and Daniel, your instincts were good.
Yeah, correct. Okay.
Because I found absolutely no evidence of this at all. There was not even anything I twisted. I just completely fabricated it. Where I'm like,
I was like saying like that sounds like the one that Stephan would make up. If
Yeah.
he did. I can't believe the cell phone one, which is why I chose it. But I was like, if Stephan was going to make up one of the other four, it would be this one.
yeah,
I think you did a great job fabricating that, but
Yeah.
you went one step too far at the
I
end.
thought so. I thought I
That was
thought I'd
always you have Barney Stinson
Right.
syndrome.
If
Yeah.
I could,
You
if I
just
could just,
add one little thing at the end too
if I
much.
could just, if I could just tap into them going, I think James Cameron would want to simplify the film because it did ended up being too simplistic in some places.
But I don't think directors want to do that though. I don't think
Yeah.
they would take a seat back to their, maybe a studio would do that, but I can't see a director being like, this character is too smart or too complex. He's too much of a human.
I think I could have worded it better then and made it seem
Yeah.
more like it didn't serve the narrative and it was making the story
It's
too
okay.
muddy.
You'll
Ugh.
have another chance.
Well, yeah, but the nail gun thing though, that's the one I would have picked honestly because that was
was appalling.
shocked. I was shocked by that too. I was like, okay, well,
I guess you could say though that Trask is the one that nailed it.
Heyo.
and that's our show.
Good night, everyone.
Yes. Oh, thank you by the way, Lexi, for
Oh,
jumping on
yeah.
the chat. So they can Twitch can hear us both just fine, thankfully.
Okay.
It's
okay.
just a Discord problem between us.
Okay.
But
I'm gonna say it's a Discord thing, not a us thing. I mean,
Well-
I'm about 3 feet from my router, and we're like, I'm by a window.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is, man. I
It's
don't know.
okay.
But all right, we're in our final portion here for the final 15. And this is the part I'm most interested about because to me the world of Avatar is insanely complex with nothing to show for it except the theme park right now. And we get so like that last fact I tossed in there about all this time being spent on pre-production. There was a kind of documentary I watched about the music of Avatar and the team that was assembled to travel the world in search of these rare, unique sounds that they ultimately came back to James Cameron with the same thing that the linguistics guy did with the language, where he invented a language based off this hodgepodge of everything. They did with music. They took all of the most, unique, never before heard, like remote things that just don't resonate with people. Like you don't listen to it and think of it immediately as recognizable. And they created something that James Cameron said, thanks, but this is too alien. And they're like, that's what you wanted. You told us to make something alien. He goes, I know. Hey, James. And then like he creates this cinematic score. The lyrics, even though Na'vi, this is what gets me, even though Na'vi is a fully realized fake language, they still used gibberish in the music because it sounded good. Not because they originally had tracks that had full lyrics and everything in Na'vi, and it didn't sound right when they were singing it. It sounded too weird. It didn't sound cinematic enough, and it sounded probably too real, like too actually cultural. So instead, they created. I love what they said in the documentary. They created what white people think remote tribal music sounds like, and that became the score.
I've heard that actually. I've heard that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it is interesting, and it's hard to say for me because I do love the music so much. I think it's a gorgeous cinematic underscore, and it fills me with emotion, especially when I go to the parks, especially when I do Flight of Passage. The first 2 times I did Flight of Passage, I teared up.
Bye, Stephan.
Oh, gee, did I drop?
Yeah.
Okay. I was saying, for the first 2 times I did Flight of Passage, I teared up.
There you go. Yeah. Okay.
How many
Aw,
times?
well, I'm
Yeah.
glad that you have such a strong connection to it. I think that's important.
Yeah.
Despite my feelings, because for me, when it comes to and I'm trying to I'm gonna steer clear from good or bad, but the Pandora Park, to me, when I saw it, felt very corporate. It felt very. I don't. And I'm not saying that the creators and the Imagineers for it like didn't do a good job or like didn't put in effort or anything, but it felt more tactful with the way things were designed.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's how where I think with like Wizarding World, Wizarding World, I think what makes it so good is J.K. Rowling had every say in everything because she had built this expansive world already, and everything had a meaning to it before they were building the stuff. So like not only did they have to make it look like the movie, but it also needed to be somewhat functional as a like shopping center. Like if this was a little shopping street in in the real Wizarding World, and so it was like it seemed like rather than there was I feel like that's why that has a little more heart, where Pandora, and again this is just my opinion, I'm not saying it's right or wrong or anything, but because I feel like the majority of the culture, you could say, was built and designed for the park, then it loses the kind of meaning for it. Like, I almost think like the intention wasn't there. And I could be totally wrong, but those are just my impressions from just seeing the movie and visiting the park.
Yeah, you're good. That feeling is important regardless of whatever, the original intention was behind it, because that's what it leaves the guests with. It's what it leaves the guest with, right? What have you been in the parks, Trask, for Pandora?
Okay, so I have been one time, and I went just before the parks closed due to the pandemic. Okay. It was literally the weekend before. I think it closed on Monday, and I went on Saturday, or I went on Friday, something like that. I had, I don't want to get into too much detail, but I had some personal issues with people who were involved in the designing and construction process of it, and that kind of
swayed your view.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. I also, I was also not the biggest fan of Avatar when it first came out, because, like you guys were talking about earlier, where they said this is a must-see thing, that is kind of a big deterrent for me. Mm-hmm. And when somebody tells me that I need to do something or that I have to do something, it just makes me want it even less. Like, yeah. I feel like I'm kind of a hipster at heart, is when something becomes insanely popular overnight, or when something becomes kind of this like smash sensation or whatever. I feel put off because of that. So I didn't even see the movie until it had probably already come out on DVD, and I watched it at home. So I didn't have that kind of theater experience to it, but because it was so hyped out of the gate, it was a deterrent for me. And the same thing with Pandora, and if I'm being perfectly honest, the same thing with Galaxy's Edge. Like, I love the Star Wars franchise, don't get me wrong, but when everybody's like, oh, you have to go to Galaxy's Edge, I'm like, I think I can make my
Galaxy's
own
Edge
decision
that would be a really fun behind the scenes, just to talk about the history of that whole process and why it did not have it did not do as well as they were expecting. And also, I was gonna say though, Trask, real quick, that I'm the same exact way, and I think that's maybe why I feel the same. And the fact that they have like a Avatar 2, 3, and 4 like greenlit already, and it's just because of the it made $1 billion because it was a must-see event rather than just it calls for it. It's like, do they already have a story for it, or are they just going to make stories for it?
Actually, I have information about
and
that.
I think it's okay with popcorn movies, but I don't think this is trying to be a popcorn movie.
Yeah.
I was the same way with, I was going to say, with what you were saying with Avatar, I was the same with Frozen, where I saw Frozen before Frozen Fever hit. I believe I saw it in the opening weekend, not because I was like, there was not a huge buzz for Frozen before it came out.
No.
It was just another, Tangled, Inside Out. It like that's how it was marketed, and I saw it, I believe, the Saturday on the weekend right after it came out, and I remember watching it, and I remember thinking, oh wow, this was a fun movie. I like Tangled more. Let It Go was a bop. I was like, yeah, okay, sure. And then the weekend ended, and the entire world was obsessed with Frozen, and we were still here. And so that's why I think it puts a bad taste in my mouth, where it's like the credit that it kind of got for what was there. It's not saying people didn't put in effort, but it I don't think it is the best thing that has ever been created.
Yeah, I have my own thoughts on that, but let's talk more Avatar.
Stay on
No,
Avatar.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
comparing
it's-
Avatar to Frozen.
Yeah.
Well, we compare a lot of things in the show for sure.
So anyway, you had
Uh-oh.
asked me my perspective on the
Gee,
parks.
they can't hear me, can they?
And what? We can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, God. Thank God.
No.
Yeah.
So you had asked me my perspective on the parks. I just went to it for the first time 2 months ago. I thought it was pretty nice. Yeah, I remember watching the Imagineering documentary on it, I think after the fact. So seeing a little more of the work that went into it. I also have friends who are construction and landscaping, artists who helped put it together. And I think not the one person that deterred me from it before, but other people that I, have very positive relationships with.
It looks amazing.
I think it was aesthetically wonderful. I would love to be able to go back and see it at night when everything is glowing and doing all that. Waited quite a while. I want to say a little over an hour, I think, for Flight of Passage, and I think it was very good. I enjoyed it tremendously. I think that the ability to make the Banshee breathe up against your legs and stuff, I think it was great. Visually, it was stunning. I don't know if it's something that I would, wait an hour and a half or more for. I think it was the amount of time that I waited for it, I think was good. The queue was wonderfully set up. I think that they put a lot of thought into it. And I think what they did with the land was they took a world that already existed and were kind of given free rein to create an expansion to it. So counter to Harry Potter lands duplicating things that already existed, they were able to take a base layer and expand off of that, which I think may have led to some disconnect with some people because they wanted to see exactly what they were seeing in the film versus, the planet is God knows how big, and this is just another section of the land. I think it was great. I don't have a whole lot of bad things to say about it. I didn't get to have any of the food. I didn't get to, try any of everything.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah, I didn't get to experience everything. I kind of went there to look around, ride Flight of Passage, and then I had other stuff that I was doing throughout the course of the day. But to make sure that I got to experience it at least once.
We'll have to go when the parks open up again.
Yeah,
that would be
for
fun.
sure. To kind of jump back into this, or to jump on top of what you were just saying there too, the land actually is partially based off of what we see in the film.
Okay.
So Tule Canteen is the mess hall. It is, like there are aspects of it that remain similar, but it's the land itself is set so far in the future past the films that it's the development of culture, like the expats that live on Pandora now. They are they're humans that were born on Pandora. Like they've known nothing but living on Pandora and being raised with Na'vi culture. So that's who we see in the parks. The other thing about that, to go off the sequels you're talking about, Daniel, Avatars 2, 3, and 4 have been written for a long time. And James Cameron wanted to make those movies, but he also, after the success of Avatar, didn't, for the sheer fact that the technology, once again to him, wasn't where it needed to be, and he wasn't going to pump out new movies until things were at a place where he was excited again about it. And so he'd been working on it on and off every other year or so until it started getting more serious. And then things kept getting shelved for whatever reason, kept getting shelved, pushed back. Then he gets the deal with the parks, and Disney says, look, we don't want to do this unless there is more money in the future. And he's like, well, I've already got new movies planned. I just need to make them. And they're like, great, can we build a theme park about that? And he's like, yeah, that's more what he wanted anyways, because what Avatar, perhaps in the next 5-6 years, what Avatar will end up being is this distant memory of a prequel to hopefully what James Cameron's trying to create, which is a trilogy that's set 100 or so years in the future that is about brand new characters, brand new storyline that references in vague detail the original Avatar, but is truly its own thing.
And if those are like, if I like watch those movies and I think those are really, really good, then I would absolutely give Avatar here the like a huge pass. Like I'd be like, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. It was if it paved the way for something greater, then absolutely. I was gonna say something too. I might have forgot it though.
You're good. I was just saying Disney has expansions planned for the park, that section, some of which they've revealed already, but most of them are in direct correlation with the storylines of those films that have already been written but not released.
I remember what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So this is where I think I come into it as well, just analyzing things. Something that I always appreciate, and some people hate Aristotle, but he has his list of when creating a story or a play, what is important and what should be there first, and the very last thing is spectacle, is how it the quality, the that should be the very last thing.
True.
So I think that's another thing that kind of deters me, is that if the narrative is good enough to stand on its own despite the technical limitations, it should be able to. And that's kind of my, so like if you were able to, that's and I think that it's just kind of the CGI, and though it was a huge paved the way for a lot of technological advances in cinema. Mm-hmm. It's almost like the CGI and the effects become rose-colored glasses. That it's to a very, you could say, cliche or average story. Again, I don't want to say to anyone who had any hand in it that it was like not well done. I just don't. I think it got more praise than the execution of it.
And I think here's kind of this is my final thought on that whole ordeal, is that James Cameron, to me as a director, isn't trying to tell the most unique or inventive or even deep story. I think he's trying to tell stories that have general themes that are already successful, that resonate with a lot of people. And to me, he's more of a visionary as a director than he is a storyteller, if that makes sense. The story is there, but it's good enough to pass in cinema. And what really makes his films a crap ton of money is doing things he's never done before, ever. Like no one's ever touched, which is why Titanic was massive. The Avatar movie was huge. I think he's waiting to do this trilogy until he can again invent something brand new that no one's ever seen. And that would probably make it a crap ton of money, even if it's not that great of a trilogy. That's my what do you think, Trask? To kind of close this out here, I'll have my little final send off, but I'm curious how you feel about the.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have a great time listening to that in
post.
Oh
no!
Yikes, so we threw in a couple of yeses and mm-hms to help sell it.
All right.
But I'm sure it was fantastic.
That's
I could
fine.
feel the intensity in the blips that came through.
Well, yeah.
So that's all good.
We'll close on that, and I'll just take us out.
Yeah, I think I kind of gave my final thoughts already.
Yeah, I don't know if Trask. Can you hear me, Trask?
Yeah, Trask.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I'll just have to listen and post as well.
Oh,
Maybe
right.
I'll write my final thoughts in a
That's
in a
okay.
Instagram post or
Yeah.
something.
You're good.
Speaking of Instagram, feel free to give us a follow, Zombies to Zoinks.
Go ahead and do it if you
Yeah.
want. We also have a Twitter. We haven't posted anything yet. Follow us on YouTube. Go give us a subscribe and
Yeah.
bell and do all the stuff. And
we'll be there
hope you
on-
enjoyed it.
We'll be on Sounder and Spotify and iTunes and wherever podcasts are held. Thank you for all of our Twitch watchees.
View.
This is viewers.
Listen.
Yeah. This has been
Patrons.
great. You've all been
Audience.
fantastic. Thank you for bearing with us as we've been dealing
I
with
think
our
he was just
goofs.
doing a send off.
Oh,
he was
It
totally
sounded
doing
like this.
Can
has
you
been-
hear me? Hello?
Well, thank you everyone for listening.
Wait.
And I hope I'm not talking over Stephan right now.
You are.
Yeah, thank you for listening. This was great. Go watch Avatar. Go follow us. Right, Trask?
Yeah. So I've been Trask.
I'm Daniel.
I'm Stefan.
And
You're just going to have to
Stephan's somewhere out
trust
there.
that
He's
I'm
I'm
hoping
here.
that he said
I'm
that.
talking over
I
him.
did.
Yeah.
So.
All right, but we love you all, and we'll see you later.
Bye, guys. Remember, you don't dream in cryo.
And I'm the Chris I do in the job. It makes me feel like I'm ruling the world.